Good morning, everyone. I hope all of you are well. As you know, we are continuing first chapter, of economics. Today, I will discuss the second part of this chapter. Today, we will discuss, as you can see, national development. So, what is national income? First, we need to know. So, national income means the total production of goods and services within the year the country has, known as national income. Now, on the basis of this national income, that the total goods and production which we have within the 1 year, we can see the growth, the progress, and on the basis of that we can measure the development. So it is always very important to keep in mind that different persons could have different as well as conflicting notions of country's development. As we earlier discussed that how different people are having different developmental goals, so it is always possible that because in a country, in a region, or in an area, different people are living and we all are having different developmental goals, so it is possible that the notion of the development will conflict, as the total production and services will measure the national income. So we don't have the same amount of national income each and every year, as well as it will also measure that how different people living in the same country, because we all are having different developmental goals, so it affect us, and it will affect the notion of the national development. So however can all the ideas be considered equally important? So as different people are having different developmental goals, so is it possible that every single person idea, or goals are equally important? Okay, sometimes yes, for some factors of course it is yes, for some factors it is no. How? Now, as different people are having different developmental goals, and if it is positive, it is environmental friendly, if it is good for society, if it is good for humanity, it is good for human beings as well as human resource, so of course each and every idea is equally important. But if some developmental goals is harming the environment, is harming the humanity, or it's not good for the society, so then the idea is not important for the national development. So we need to consider the factors, the developmental goals which is good for the country. Other than that, we can't consider any factor equally important. Now, as you can see, the next topic that we have, how to compare different countries or state. Here we will consider the national income. So usually we take one or more important characteristics of persons and compare them based on the basis of these characteristics. So as we can see, now according to different factors, when we compare different people, same way according to some factors we can differentiate the countries. So is this true to the development? For comparing countries, their income is considered to be one of the important attributes. So to compare the states, to compare the countries, one of the important factor is income, their income, the national income or per capita income. So what is per capita income? Now per capita income or average income is showing us the total income of that country, and of course the total population, how the total population of the country and the total income of the country can have a proper balance. That's the motto of average income, that where we will measure the total income of that country as well as we are going to divide it with the total population of the country. So the amount of money we will get, we can consider it to compare this with other countries. So comparison between the countries, total income is not such an useful measure. Total income of the country, okay, as you can see this line, that total income is not such an useful measure, right? Since countries have income, will not tell us what an average person is likely to earn. Are people in one country better than off than others in a different countries? So yes, it's a limitation of the total income. The total income is not such as useful measure, as countries have different population. Different countries having different national income as well as different population, and of course they are having different of resources. So it is never possible that through per capita income or through average income we can actually compare countries. But we considered this average income or per capita income, where we can discuss about the comparison of the country, or what is the situation, what is the scenario of the economy of the country. Okay, so how we are going to measure this average income? Now we compare the average income in the total income of the country divided by its total population. So how we can calculate it? Now the total population, the total income of the country divided by its total population. So what we need to do? First we need to measure the total income of the country. Okay, then we have to divide the total income of the country with the total population of the country. Then we will get the average income, or we will get the per capita income. Okay, so per capita income or average income is same, where we will first measure, we will calculate the total income of the country, then we will divide it by the total population of the country. That's how we will get the average income and per capita income. As I said, the per capita income or average income is not the very useful factor or to compare countries, but to have an idea about the economy of the country, okay, we require to measure the average income, the per capita income. Okay, next we have in World Development Report, 2006, brought by the World Bank. Okay, so who measured this per capita income? Now it's measured by World Bank. World Bank measured the per capita income of each country, and they launched a report known as World Development Report. Okay, so World Development Report published by World Bank, they are the one who measure per capita income or average income of each country, and they use this factor income to measure or to compare the countries. Okay, now according to 2006 World Development Report, the criteria used to classify countries. So they use this per capita income to classify the countries. How they classify the countries? Now countries with the per capita income, okay, 4,53,000 per annum. Annually we are talking about. Okay, we are not talking about per month wise. Here we will discuss about annually. So the countries with the per capita income of 4,53,000 per annum and in above are known as rich countries. And those who with per capita income of 37,000 only, okay, 37,000 or less, called low income countries. So we have different countries, as you can see. Now the countries those who have annually more than 4,53,000, okay, known as rich countries. The countries those who have less than 37,000, known as low income countries. Okay, India comes in the category of low income. Okay, so as we all know, maybe we are large in size. Okay, we hold the 7th position size wise, but the huge population we have, no matter how much we are having the economy, okay, because of this huge population of our country, it is not sufficient. When we are going to calculate the total income, it will look huge, but when we are going to divide it with the total population of a country, it is coming very much less. So India belongs to the category of low income countries. It means our annual income, okay, per person wise is less than 37,000. So you can totally understand that how true only economic level, how true only per capita income, okay, World Bank comparing countries, and they are categorizing the countries: rich countries, low income countries, and middle class countries. Okay, so India comes in the category of low income. Okay, because its per capita income in 2004, here, okay, we have the data of 2004 is just 28,000. So according to the data of 2004, okay, in economics we have these year wise data. Okay, so if this type of question is coming in your exam, you have to mention the year according to which year you are talking about. Okay, so here according to 2004 data, we are saying that India belongs to the low income countries. Why? Because our per capita income is less than or just only to 28,000 per annum annually. Okay, the rich countries, excluding countries of Middle East and certain of other small countries, are generally called developed countries. So there are some rich countries, okay, excluding Middle East, so they are maybe small in size, okay, but they have equal population, okay, or limited population. That's a they call as a developed countries. They don't have huge amount of population, so their total income, okay, of the country is sufficient for their population. So rich countries, excluding countries of Middle East and certain small countries, maybe they are small in size, they are having less income, but because of the limited population, okay, it is sufficient to have their economic development. So they are also known as developed countries. Okay, now next topic we will discuss so as you can see, the next topic we have income and other criteria. Okay, so to compare countries, we have discussed income and other criteria in our life for human development. Today we will discuss income and other criteria for comparing states, regions, as well as countries. Okay, because economic development or economic growth is not the only criteria for comparing countries. There are some other criteria also. As you can see in this chart, you have Punjab, Kerala, and Bihar. Okay, so here we have the per capita income of Punjab, which is showing me the data for 2002 and 3. Okay, the data I have here is 2002-3 data. So Punjab is having per capita income is 26,000, Kerala is having 22,800, and Bihar is having 5,700. Okay, so this is the income and other criteria. So as you can see, per capita income that we discussed about Punjab, Kerala, and Bihar is totally different from each other. So according to the economy, according to money, Punjab holds the first rank, Kerala holds the second rank, and Bihar holds the third rank. Okay, here in the next chart we will see some comparative data on Punjab, Kerala, and Bihar. Again, the same states, as you can see, Punjab, Kerala, and Bihar. But here we are not going to discuss about the economy. We have three factors. Now, infant mortality rate, we have literacy ratio, and net awareness ratio. Okay, these are the three things. So Punjab infant mortality rate is 49. Okay, so before discussing about state-wise infant mortality rate, we need to know what is infant mortality rate. So here we can see the infant mortality rate, or IMR, indicates the number of children that die before the age of 1 year as a proportion of 1,000 lives children born in that particular year. So infant mortality rate means the number of children that die before the age of 1 in a year as a proportion of 1,000 live children born in that particular year. So according to this, you can see the infant mortality rate of Punjab is 49. It means in the same year, if 1,000 live newborn baby born, so 49 of them died. In Kerala, only 11 of them died, and in Bihar, 60 of them died. So you can totally understand, it means in Bihar and Punjab, we don't have actually proper medical facility. Why newborn babies, they are dying? First of all, maybe mothers, they are not having nutritious food, they are not having proper food. Second thing, lack of medical facilities. So due to these reasons, okay, we have maximum infant mortality rate in Bihar, which is 60 according to 2003 data. Okay, according to 2003 data. In Punjab it is 49 and in Kerala it is 11. So in Kerala it is only 11. Why? In Kerala they are having proper planning for the mothers, okay, where they are getting proper nutritious food, as well as medical facility wise they are so much developed than other states. So you see, now in Punjab, per capita income wise they are the first rank holder, but infant mortality wise they are not. Okay, they are not, because in Punjab they are not having the proper medical facilities as well as nutritious food. So 49 of them died. Bihar still is having 60. Why? Because medical facilities is not there, or enough medical facility they don't have there, as well as people are not having nutritious food. Next is coming literacy rate. According to 2001 data, according to 2001 data, okay, literacy rate we will talk about. So first we need to know what is literacy rate. Now literacy rate measures the proportion of literate people or population in the 7 and above age group. Okay, so within the age of 7 or above age group, how many of us are literate, how many of us can read and write, that is known as literacy rate. So this literacy rate is 70% in Punjab, 91% in Kerala, and for only 47% in Bihar. So remember, this is not the recent data, this is according to 2001 data we are discussing here. So as you see, now in Punjab where it is 70%, Kerala is 91%. It means a huge population at the age of 7, they are literate. Okay, they know how to read and write, and only 47% of total population, it means less than half of the population in Bihar, they know how to read and write. Okay, it means what? It is clearly showing us the not only in medical sector, Bihar is also lacking behind in educational sector, which is not good, of course. Okay, so we need to improve not only the medical sector of Bihar, we also need to improve the educational sector. And Punjab, as you have seen, now maybe per capita income wise it is the first rank holder, but according to educational sector it is holding the second position. So Punjab also need to improve the educational sector. They need to aware people about the importance of education. Okay, lastly we have the net attendance ratio according to 1995 and 6 data. Okay, what is the meaning of net attendance ratio? Now net attendance ratio means, here as you can see, the total number of the children of age group 6 to 10 attending school as a percentage of total number of children in the same age group. Okay, so net attendance ratio is the total number of the children of age group of 6 to 10 attending school as the total number of children in the same age group. So in Punjab it is 81. We are talking about the class 1 to 5. Okay, so it is only 81. In Kerala it is 91. Okay, and in Bihar it is only 41. It means in Bihar, out of 47, literacy rate is 47%, 41% is regular attendance. Okay, they are having their regular attendance. In Punjab it is 81%, and in Kerala, it is the highest one, 98%. It means within the age of 6 to 10, the maximum of them are ending school in Kerala, but it's lagging behind in Bihar as well as in Punjab. So what we need, it means it is clearly showing us that it's not only about the income, it's not only about the money. We need to improve the other facilities, as the topic is income and other criteria. So to compare countries, to compare the states, we should not only consider income, we also need to consider these factors where we can actually measure, where we can actually understand their development, their social development, their human development. Okay, because development means all over, all together. It's not that only in one sector we are developed. Economy wise, if we are developed, we can't call ourselves fully developed, we can't call ourselves overall developed, because we need to have overall growth, and it is only possible when other than income we focus on other sector. Okay, I hope this is clear to all of you. I hope this factor is also clear, this topic is also clear to all of you. So hopefully this video helps you to understand today's topic. We will discuss next topics in your next class. Thank you everyone. Thank you for watching today's video.